Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Hello? Okay,
Walaikum
sister.
assalam wa
Okay, then
rahmatullahi
we
wa
will start.
barakatuh. Yes, 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 you're audible.
Okay, sister. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب زدني علما. My respected elders, and my dear brothers and sisters, I welcome all of you with the Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I, Michelle Sheikh, member of the ISIP Indian chapter and a student from the Department of Psychology from Aspire College of Excellence, will be your host today. On behalf of the ISIP team, I extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you who have joined us today. Let us begin our program with the name of Allah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today's agenda. We will begin with the recitation of Surah Fatiha, then we will move on to the meeting's guidelines, followed by the lecture by dear brother Shujauddin and sister Zulekha. Then we will move on to the question and answer session. Then lastly, we will close with the meeting with the closing dua. Now let us begin our program with the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Translation. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful, sovereign of the day of recompense. It is you we worship and you we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those upon who you have bestowed favor, not of those who have anger or of those who are astray. Ameen. This is our Zoom etiquette ensure that our meetings equipped for a more productive and respectful discussion. And we all listen to record the sessions as we will be uploading it on YouTube, inshallah. And please leave your questions in the chat box, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan, dear brothers and sisters, for your understanding. This is our mission statement. ISIP is an indoor space designed to connect people with diverse backgrounds interested in Islamic psychology. Our aim is to disseminate knowledge, share resources, and discuss best practices in a free and accessible manner. This is a platform to enable further development of people's personal and professional interests, studies, and understanding of Islamic psychology within their communities and countries of origin. Now, let me give you a brief introduction of our speakers today. Brother Shujauddin Fahad Inamdar. Brother Shujauddin is a counselor and spiritual psychologist at Mind and Brain Hospital. He holds an MA in clinical psychology and works as a research assistant and coordinator at ICIPP and CSR. He is currently under review for TIIP Level 1 certification at Khalil Center. Additionally, he serves as a lecturer at IIISR. Our next speaker is Zulekha Shakoor Rajani. Sister Zulekha is a counseling and spiritual psychologist at Mind and Brain Hospital and serves as the executive advisory at ISIP India. She is also lecturer at Balagh Academy. Now, without further ado, I would like a dear speaker to take over. Jazakallah khairan for your patience.
Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. So we will start with presentation, inshallah. Can the admins just give us a thumbs up if you are able to see the screen? Yes. Is the screen and audio, are we audible and are you able to see the screen, the PPT?
Yes, yes. Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
So as we know today, inshallah, we are going to be doing integrating, how are we integrating Dreamwork into Islamic psychotherapy. So before we begin, we definitely need to give in a few disclaimers as is which will definitely help in um, having the right expectations out of this lecture. So we, alhamdulillah, so first we'll start with the disclaimer, right? So let's understand that we are not dream interpreters, right? And it is not even advisable for us to do so. Until trained, we should not be interpreting dreams, right? Especially those of our clients. We need to be encouraging and seeking an interpretation from trustworthy sources if accessible. And also in the context of therapy and practice, we need to always consider that dreamers, biopsychosocial, and spiritual context is very important to keep. Also, I think we need to be understanding that this entire lecture, the Islamic part especially, is taken from the TIIP modality by Dr. Khalid Al-Zamzami and Dr. Muhammad Umar Salim. They have a chapter in the book Applying Islamic Clinical Mental Health Care. So it is, alhamdulillah, a lot of what was taught to us at TIIP training level 1 and level 2 is what we're just trying to recreate, and we're trying to bring about a conversation of how we can bring dream work into our therapy, especially into our Islamic psychotherapy practice. Yes, so introduction to dreams, understanding and considering that we're spending 1/3 of our life sleeping, which if you see in 75 years could be 25 years, dreams definitely take a very larger chunk, right? They're naturally very significant and they take a lot of significant importance. And since we're devoting so substantial portion of our existence to sleep, we need to understand that this experience within that time, including in our dreams, are not trivial, right? And if we start understanding and giving importance to it and understanding how it was actually something that has been given a lot of importance, and it's a universal phenomena of giving importance to dreams, we will start reflecting and understanding how a lot of things are connected, right? Innermost thoughts, the emotions, sometimes even it can be a great source of providing insight or guidance. So dreams are not just fleeting images, but they're definitely an essential part of a human experience, given the amount of time that we're actually sleeping, right? And every day when we sleep, the REM stages are happening. So that shows how much of the part of our life has dreams involved to it. So Shujauddin will take over.
Yeah. So dreams are not just fleeting images, they are an essential part of our whole human experience. So we will see further in the slides as well that what is the significance of dream in our lives. So we can move on to our next slide. Yeah, there is no standard glossary. So you need to understand there is no standard glossary. Like we see some of our therapists or those who want to interpret their dreams, they go and they see only the symbolic meaning and glossary how Ibn Sirin has seen it, right? But that is not, you can say, a valid way of interpreting a dream or understanding a dream. So, for example, a dreamer, the person who has dreamed, there are a lot of factors that needs to be considered. The socio-cultural context is there. Their own understanding of those symbols is very important. Like we have given one example that a lobster may have dreaming of a lobster may have a vastly different meaning to a lobster fisher person that to a vegan, an artist, or anyone else. So their profession, their different tangents. So what we do is we take a complete detailed case history. As a psychotherapist, so we are not dream interpreter, but we try to incorporate dreams into our psychotherapeutic interventions. So for that, we need to, so all our slides or all our introduction to dreams and its conceptualization will be from a position of a psychotherapist or a counselor, not as a dream interpreter. So there can be no common meaning for a particular dream image among people. So while we are into the therapeutic practice, we try to relate the symbolism of their dream with their current problem, what we are facing there. And psychology is probably one of the most appropriate fields to host studies of dream interpretation. There could be another fields also, like biology and chemistry and evolutionary sciences are there, but or even philosophy for that matter. But we find the stream or the profession that is very closely related to dream is psychology and counseling and psychotherapy that has a very application based significance and relevance of dreams. Some words on spiritual or divine dreams. So for psychological dreams, we try to keep it very unique. We try to see it how the dreamer is making sense of those symbols. So we dive deeper into those tangents. And for them, we don't use any standard glossary. But for spiritual or divine dreams, so only a prophet, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is able to precisely interpret a dream, because we know that all the divine dreams and its interpretation and its ta'wil is authentic only when we find that interpretation to be in Quran or Hadith. So all the divine interpretation, we try to make sense of it from the prophetic interpretation. We'll be going more into the methodology of dreams from Islamic perspective, but these are some of the primer that you need to understand. So next slide is on Freud. So we will be going on first from psychological perspective. How you can expect this whole presentation to be that with the disclaimer we have given. Now we will be touching on to some of the introductory parts of dream, the psychological, the biological perspective that will be there. Then you can expect the Islamic perspective on dreams. Then we will be discussing on methodology of dream interpretation. So it will be from Islamic perspective as well as from psychotherapy, how we see the significance of dream in psychotherapy, what are the principles that we are looking into. And then at last, there will be some takeaways from our side. So we are expecting this audience to be from psychology background or from normal background also, could be from other streams also could be there. But mostly, as you know, the topic is integrating dream work into Islamic psychotherapy. So for others also, you will be getting insight how the Sunnah of interpretation it is incorporated in Islamic psychotherapy. So it is an integrated approach, like we are, as she has rightly said, that we have been trained in TIIP. So we will be incorporating and integrating other modalities as well in interpretation. So we'll start with Freud's view. So Freud with others, Freud is considered to be one of the pioneer in interpretation of dreams. So the British Reading Room staff has encased three first edition books that, in their opinion, had influenced modern thought more than any other works in the past 150 years. These books were the Darwin's Origin of Species, Karl Marx' Das Kapital, and Sigmund Freud's The Interpretation of Dreams. So some of the assumptions of Freud that were very significant in psychotherapy practice, also in the whole psychological formulation of understanding a person. So Freud believed in the manifest or obvious meaning of dreams as well as latent and symbolic meaning. He thought that the later might be more useful to interpret. So even like Freud, even the Islamic interpreter, you will find that they say that there is a very zahiri, very literal meaning of the dreams. At the same time, there is a symbolic, there is a ishara, there is a sign that you need to make tawil, make interpretation of it. Freud believed in dream condensation, where more than one unconscious issues could condense into a single dream image. So this is also very significant. So any of the interpreter coming from any of the modality, they have their own framework of conscious and subconscious and layers of how they are perceiving the human composition of personality. So for Freud, it was id and the struggle between superego, and the ego is trying to manage it. And more than one conflicts could be there. So from a Freudian perspective, it is that when he will be interpreting the dream, he will be considering the principle that it could be more than one principle underlying in his interpretation. Freud believed in dream displacement, where fearful or highly charged unconscious issues could be changed into a more approachable subject matter. So, and with Freud, this principle is shared with Jung also. So we'll be discussing this another psychologist, Jung. So with him also that we have a shadow self. So what is manifestly in reality in waking self, which is very much fearful for us, in dreams it will be as a very much approachable, very much easy to conquer. So the shadow self is sometimes projected into our dreams. Freud initially believed that all dreams are wishful dreams, but later admitted some kinds of nightmares, especially after highly traumatic events, may not be wish fulfilling. So when he wrote the interpretation of dreams, at that point he had a very single approach towards dream interpretation. That is, it is the wish fulfillment. It is the dreams. What we are seeing is the wish fulfillment. But later on, he believes he came to this conclusion that with wish fulfillment, if there are some traumatic events in our early childhood, that is also manifested in our dreams. So that wish fulfillment, he further elaborates his assumption that any dream idea could represent sexual facts and wishes. So the next slide is about Jung. So Jung has written one of the most influential book, Man and His Symbols, where he presented most of his views regarding dream interpretation. But even you need to understand that most of Jung's writing are not that much comprehensible by the commoners. And even to write this book, he had a dream. So an interviewer approached him and said that your ideas are very significant, but the commoners are not able to understand it. So he first instant he outrightly rejected it. Then after a day or two, he saw a dream that in his dream he's seeing that commoners are able to listen to him, and more than listen, are understanding what he's trying to communicate. And that's when he started writing this book, Man and His Symbols. So Jung thought dreams could be open the way to the founding of a general comparative psychology from which an understanding of the development and structure of the human psyche could be gained. So basically, interpsychic dynamics of a human. For Jung, the persona is what we are projecting from. Then there is the ego, the sense of I is there. Then beyond that is shadow. That is, you can say, the other half of your traits. If you are introvert, then the extroversion will be in your shadow self. Then he talks about the soul image, then mana personality, enigma and animus, and then the soul in itself, the self in itself. So all these tangents of human unconscious is manifested in dreams. And he was one of the strongest proponent that we shouldn't be having any standard glossary of universal meaning for dreams, images, and themes. So Jung thought that dreams transfer unconscious impulses and reactions to consciousness. He differed from Freud that it is not only our sexual impulses, but dreams could have and it do have some of the higher spiritual and divine tangents as well. So his belief regarding God was in very contrast with Freud. So according to Jung, that dreams serve a compensatory function, that is dream messages were attempts to compensate for a particular defect in the dreamer's attitude to life. So where Freud is that it is wishful thinking, For Jung, it is more of compensation, that there are some personality tension, there are some areas that you need to discover and work on, and need to change your attitude in your wakeful life. So dreams are, in a way, indicates it and manifest those tensions. Jung felt that archetypes manifested themselves in dreams, and that these themes and images gave humans a glimpse of their much older ancient mind. So we'll be seeing there is a two most significant in the study of dreams. There are two most significant themes, like prophetic dreams, like dreams that are explaining the future. That has been one of the major and significant topic of discourse in dream interpretation. And then the another topic is recurrent dreams. So Jung believed that prophetic dreams do exist, and that was his explanation, was that we have a unconscious collective archetypes that are there, that is manifested in our dreams, which projects our future. So that was his explanation. Jung believed that even the UFOs or flying saucers, aliens, and all those, these are also the archetypes representation that we are seeing in our dreams. The third psychologist is Fritz. Fritz, according to him, dream images are replete with projections of our own personalities, unconscious and conscious issues and attitudes. It is similar as of Freud and Jung. He is the founder of Gestalt therapy and believed that dreaming was the most spontaneous of all human behavior. So the whole is more than the sum of its part. That was his basic premise of his whole theorization. And he believes that all the dream is a whole of all the experiences. So Pearl's thought anxiety was caused by a failure to stay in the here and now. And he also believed that all parts of a dream were projected fragments of our personalities. And also unfinished businesses and problems formed a hierarchy which could be assessed through a dream work. Awareness of these issues and problems is, and in and of itself, are very significant. So even when we are interpreting the dreams, as Fritz has said, that there are layers of and hierarchies of unresolved problems. For Freud, it was condensation. There could be many issues parallelly. For Fritz, it is there are layers of experiences of unresolved issues that we need to come across. So now the biological perspective, Sister Zulekha will take from here. Yeah.
Its perspective.
Biological perspective, yeah. After Fritz, yeah.
So if you see biological perspective, there's a lot. So cognitive neuroscience, or even how they're envisioning where this is coming from. There's a lot, but I think definitely we could save that for another lecture. But if you see neurobiological theory says, theory that so dreams are a sort of ancient biological defense mechanism, by which they mean that they provide evolutionary advantage. They given warnings, just like how we know that even in a lot of dreams, right? Like if you see in the dreams of Yusuf alayhi salam, so there's warning of what is to be coming about in terms of famine. So similarly here you see that ancient, like how it's been understood also, that they do feel that it does has evolutionary advantage. It has helped people to understand where or what might be coming or not. But there are different hypotheses and a different understanding. If you see activation synthesis hypothesis, they say dreams do not mean anything. And they're just merely electrical brain impulses that pull random thoughts and imagery. Right? So you will see mixed understanding of how they envision it. So coming to history of dreams, we see that the earliest history of dream interpretation dates back to at least 4,000 years and has a very interesting repeating themes, right? Which could be communication between God and people through dreams. And also if you see the entire Mesopotamian culture or the entire period, right? They also had very rich history of dream interpretation, including the practices of dream incubation, right? Where you hold the dream and you manifest and understand. So that's also been a part of it. Egyptians were also thought to have been influenced by Mesopotamia, and they recorded hundreds of dreams and their interpretations on the, the wooden paper. And if you see, even in the culture of India, dreams has been playing a major role. So we know culturally and revolutionary, dreams definitely have been there. Early Jewish and Christian writings also shows includes a lot of Torah and Talmud. You'll see like a lot of um, examples given of dreams or very anecdotes given of dreams. So that's in middle of the 2nd century, we see Greek philosophers published a compilation of writings about dream interpretation. The book was called Onirokritika, and it has been one of the most quoted books on dream interpretation in the history. Maybe Mr. Shujauddin can take over from here.
Yeah. So, a Jewish philosopher, we can start.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, this slide is not that significant, but we can move on to the real context. But the point is that in every culture and tradition you will find, in every civilization, there has been a significance of dream. So I think we can directly move on to the Islamic perspective of dream. That will be,
right. As I said, the culture, Chinese culture, all of these have been having. So since the slide is here, you can always go back, right? Let's now delve into the Islamic perspective on dreams and then come to how we use dream work in psychotherapy, right? So we see Islamic perspectives. Can any of you all mention in the chat box the answers to these questions? How many dreams are mentioned in the Quran? And did Prophet ﷺ interpret dreams of his companions? So you could write question A and question B answers. Okay, Sister Nikhat says 7 and yes. Any other answers? 7 dreams are mentioned in the Quran and Prophet did interpret the dreams. Yes, Prophet did. Yes, it was common culture to sit after Fajr and listen to the dreams of the Sahaba. Yes, you're right. Great. Yes. So, Alhamdulillah, you're right. There are 7 dreams mentioned in the Quran, and the Prophet did interpret, right? So basically, there are 20 plus verses on dreams and dreaming, and 7 have been narrated in the Quran. So verses related to dreams are 20, and the narration, the 7 dreams have been recorded. 4 are in Surah Yusuf, and 2 are 2 of Prophet Muhammad and 1 of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. So there are more than 100 hadith on dreams, and there are hadith collections where you have chapters on dreams and dreaming. Prophet, as we know, was his mamul that he would actually sit and interpret the dreams of the companions. He would ask, had a dream, right? And then when they would say, he was also building that discussion. He was also helping them understand symbols, right? And if any of them did not have a dream, then he would narrate his own dream, right? He also supervised them, as what we do today. He supervised the companions also in their interpretation. When Abu Bakr Siddiq interpreted a part of the dream correctly, but he erred. So we know how he was helping them practice the skill, right? So Abu Bakr Siddiq volunteered to interpret the dream, and he said, yes, you got partly right and partly wrong. So, and we also know the significance that first 6 months of revelation were just dreams, right? There was a lot of dreams that Prophet ﷺ was saying which were coming true. We also see how, as was the culture, we actually give a lot of importance to dream as a form of a communication, as a form of a divine revelation. Right? Aisha, the wife of Prophet ﷺ, when the slanderers said what they said and Allah revealed her innocence, she said, but by Allah, I do not think that Allah, to confirm my innocence, would reveal divine inspiration, which would be recited, for I considered myself too unimportant to be talked about by Allah through wahi, revealed for recitation, in which Allah would reveal my innocence. So Allah revealed, verily those who spread slander. So basically she said that she thought that it would come in the form of a dream. Maybe Prophet would actually get a dream, right? Instead of my innocence. Allah would reveal to him in the form of a dream instead of me thinking. I never thought that I was, Allah would bring in a wahi to clarify. So if you see types of dreams now, we see there are sources, and we also know there are good dreams that are glad tidings from Allah. We know that dreams are caused by shaitan, and we also know that there are dreams that are from the psychological, one's own psychologicals and daily doings, right? So if there's an exam season, then you'll see that you're getting late for exam, you're not doing well, right? So it's more psychological, it's more from our day to day. So we have true dreams, which is ru'ya of prophetic dreams. They're also divine in nature. We have revelation, glad tidings. So under which we have like it's a revelation, so it's a glad tiding or a warning. Right? Even warning you towards something right or something to guide you is going to be considered as a, if it's, it's going to be considered as a good dream, right? Guidance, problem solving, condolences, right? All of this can come under it. Ordinary would be more psychological, right? More nafsi. So reflecting on one's concerns, preoccupation, intrapsychic processes, emotional states. Now, how do we distinguish? Is it literal or symbolic? I mean, these are just tangents of understanding how you're going to be looking at dreams. So some dreams were literal, okay, which comes true. Like Prophet Islam saw entering Makkah, and that was a very literal dream that they actually got Fateh Makkah and they entered, right? Symbolic dreams need interpretation, like Yusuf alayhi salam's dream of sun, moon, and 11 stars, which symbolize his own himself and his siblings and the mother and father. In type of dreams, right, we see they're short, like Quran, very, very clear, very vivid, meaningful. They leave an impression, significant, captures the attention, unexpected sometimes, about afterlife. Okay, and then you have the ordinary ones, which is most uncommon. So this falls under true and this falls under ordinary. So most common, continuity, like any, if you have any preoccupations, whatever has been happening from now, it'll come under your ordinary, like something which is from your day to day, right? They are digressive, not long, very not clear, right? But true dreams are very, very clear. You'll be able to recall the essence of it. You'll recall how you felt. Once you wake up, you'll also right? How are you feeling? What's your hal? So now these are some of the common symbols that we see, or common themes in the book called The Universal Dream Key, the 12 most common dream themes around the world. So you'll see being chased or attacked, being injured, okay, being ill or dying, any vehicular troubles, any something being stuck, property loss, damage, poor test or performances like at workplace or any of your studying setup, falling or drowning dreams, being naked in public or inappropriately dressed, those kind of missing the boat or other transport, like something where you're not able to catch up, machine or telephone malfunction, natural or man-made disasters, being lost or trapped, being menaced or haunted by spiritual or dead. Now again, we need to understand I mean, from what, like when you read this, it's very again coming from the Eurocentric. It's coming because you see the malfunctions and machine telephone. I mean, we also have all of these, but sometimes dreams could also be very cultural, right? People who might be living in more green and nature-like places, they may have more of those kind of dreams. They may have more of those symbolic dreams. So dreams could also be a little bit more cultural, contextual. Let's see what classic Islamic literature has to say about it. So if you see this dream, the entire dream interpretation and this entire thing is called Ilm al-Ru'ya or Tabir, and it has 60 manuals. Like initially in the first 5 centuries, there were around 60 manuals, and followed by there were 171 manuals, right? Most of which were written in Arabic, and they still exist in the form of a manuscript, which means they've not been translated and they've not been published in the publishing, like it's not come to the publishing houses. Ibn Sina, Kindi, Farabi, Mishpavi, Ghazali, Ibn Khaldun, they all have contributed to this science. And they were medical, philosophical, spiritual, metaphysical. So under different themes also you will see this, right? Ibn Sina postulated that some dreams might be the earliest signs of potential medical psychological pathology, which is also the position of Watson. I think, yeah, Shujauddin can take from.
Yeah, so methodology of dream interpretation. Uh, from Islamic perspective. So these are some of the principles that are there that we need to take in account while interpreting dreams. So basically, the first principle is that for others also it is permissible that beside the prophet to interpret the dreams. That we see that, like rightly mentioned by Sister Zulekha, that Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq used to interpret, and others also used to interpret in front of prophet. So all those things that have been interpreted, divine interpretation. So we take directly from the prophet, Quran and Hadith, and others also having that knowledge of those symbolic interpretation, they can also interpret the dreams, but it has to be more in have has to be very educated guess. It has to be considered not a true interpretation of it. There could be more interpretation, but possibly what they can fathom, that is their interpretation, tawil. And the best of interpreter that we know, Ibn Sirin, he also not used to interpret all the dreams. There were some, or most often should were the dreams that he didn't even try to interpret. So that we know from our classical scholarship as well. The second principle of dream interpretation is that only significant dreams may be interpreted. Avoid interpreting much of bad dreams, like rightly the types of dreams which are there. The satanic dreams are there, especially the satanic dreams. But when we see from psychotherapeutic perspective, even at that moment, we try to understand, like we see in our some of the cases that we'll be presenting, how some of the satanic dreams also gives us insight into some of the things. We are not interpreting it, but we are trying to make assessment, like those who perform ruqya, or those who are into the practice of exorcism or ruqya sharia, and in those practices, they try to assess from the dream itself, from the symbolism of dream itself. The third principle of dream interpretation in Islam is that good dreams should be interpreted positively in order to secure the principle. This principle, the Prophet ordered that dreams could only be interpreted by scholars or loved ones. So these are, you can say, as a prerequisite of dream interpretation. The fourth principle is there is the dreamer's recollection of the dream, and subsequently the filtering of the original imagery into what described as language-centered thought process. So there are stages also in dream interpretation. The first is when the dreamer has seen a dream, it is more in imagine, it is visual. So what word he is using, that also we need to say understand that what language now he is using to describe those images. So we spent some time on vividly capturing those images. Sometimes he could be using some semantic words or some uh, connotation, which could become an hindrance in interpretation. So that is the first stage that we need to understand, that the process is that when the images are translated into a language, that's where a lot of meaning shouldn't get lost. So it does this by relating the visual imagery to the cognitive categories of the dreamer's culture. Such cognitive categories carry implicit ways of ordering and sequencing time and space, person, and action that inevitably begin to define and delimit the possible readings of the text or narration. So the schema that the patient is coming with. So when we are in psychotherapy practice, we go through their schematic representation. Even when they are having those dreams, what meaning or what schema do they have of those images of those persons? What significance that those persons have in, like, if he's having a dream of a person, or the event, the place, how that emotion felt like, what was the difference between their waking life experience and while they're dreaming those places and those persons. So that cognitive translation needs to be captured. That's where we try to see how the interpretation, what symbolisms are being used there. The fifth principle is socio-religious consideration. That is, the social culture influences on the interpretation process has to be considered. So, like the first example that we gave about lobster. So seeing a lobster by a fisherman will be different, by an vegan will be different, by a commoner, someone living in a desert will be different. The sixth and final principle is the dreamer is permitted to carry out it in real life, what he has seen as good in the dream. So so we find that a lot of our classical scholars, Islamic scholars, for example, Shah Waliullah Mahdud Dehelvi. So for writing his epitome, Hujjatullah al-Balagha, he got a dream about it, that he is writing it. And through then later on Kashf, he was able to see the topics as well. So you will see that all the even the foundation of Darul Uloom Deoband, for that matter, the founder got a dream about it. And similarly, a lot of we will find a good and great deeds. They came through these prophetic ru'ya and dreams. So significance of dreams, the next slide, significance of dreams in psychotherapy. So you can move the slide, yeah, after the fourth principle, yeah, the significance of dreams in psychotherapy. So now, how different psychologists has applied the conception of dream into psychotherapy. So we will start with William James. William James is considered to be the first one who has talked in positive terms with respect to dreams. Before him was Watson, and Watson considered dreams to be very insignificant and meaningless. But William James was the one, and in his religious experiences, he has mentioned this, that the dreams might give us glimpse of the spiritual world. According to him, dreams are a part of a person's sum total of reactions. They are as good indicators of the nature of his personality, of his stresses and strains and emotional life generally, as are any of his other activities. So you will see in any of the psychotherapeutic practice, when we are engaging with a client, with an individual, we are dealing with their personality traits and disposition which are there, then what thoughts and schemas they are carrying about a situation, the early childhood experiences, their affective connection with those tangents. So the suppressed areas are usually when they are consciously narrating, some of even they are not understanding what are the suppressed emotions or what are the subtle drives and wishes they are not able to fulfill. So dreams help significantly in unveiling those tensions, those dynamics in psychotherapy. So one of Austrian American sleep researcher, Ernst Hartmann, so he's one of the contemporary researcher and contemporary pioneer in dream and dream studies. So he has written on the biology of dreaming, in which he emphasized the physiological nature of sleep and dreams. In 1988, he has published Dreams and Nightmares, the Origin and Meaning of Dreams. So some of his primary propositions, the very applied proposition regarding dreams, is Hartman firmly stated there is no glossary of meaning for dreams. Like Jung, and like particularly with Jung, you will find this, and with Fritz, that he also believes that there is no common glossary. So when we are approaching psychological or nafsi dreams, psychological, the three categorization that sister talked about. So one of these, so you will see that all the prophetic dreams, the methodology from Islamic perspective, when we are approaching the ru'ya, those principles we are applying. When we are approaching the psychological area, the psychological or the nafsi area, these are the principles that we, you can say, we integrate in dream interpretation. So dreaming is contextualizes emotion. So when a person is explaining their emotion, feeling of either hurt or sadness or anger, humiliation, it is the dreams that gives the context of those emotions. So whenever we are approaching, for example, EFT, emotion focused therapy, so that contextualization is very important for us to understand from where these emotions are coming really. So sometimes they are also not able to identify from where these emotions are emerging. I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling like crying, but I don't know the reason why I'm feeling this way. So dream gives us the context. So in one of the cases, we found that the feeling of sadness or the anxiety for that matter, he found himself sitting in a chair in a dream and being wrapped with clothes, and then people around, his family members, they are very dark, and he is just, light is on him, and all the family members are around and they are pointing fingers at him, and that's it. So these symbolism of dreams help us navigate into the therapeutic intervention. Then we dwell more deeper into those symbolism. So dream allows us to make more creative and broad neural connection than when we are awake. So according to Hartman, that neural connection is happening even while we are awake, but the amount of neural connection and the according to him, the more broader sense, the more far away neural connection only happens in dreams. So even very past situation that was there and it is impacting now, his conscious mind won't be able to relate that. But in dreams, we are able to see how that past event is affecting the current situation. Dreaming help us to become aware of problems, may help us solve them, may help us to be creative and may calm emotional storms. You can stop smoking. So this is his very in his last lecture that he has given in APA conference on dream itself. So it was that you can stop smoking, you can create a new machine, a painting, a sonata, or a new religion. You can change your life. You are free, I suppose, to do something or to do nothing at all. It is your dream. In dreams begin responsibilities. So he is the one, like Armon, from which Armon is a very 15th century rabbi, from which Sigmund Freud took inspiration of dream interpretation from him. And he also believes that the divine meaning, that why I am created, what is the purpose of my existence. So in existential psychology, like Viktor Frankl, Rollo May, so this discovery of meaning is also, you can say, the dreams play a significant role in discovery of meaning as well. So in dreams begin responsibilities. So dreams gives you tasks and purpose and meaning and goals to which you can drive towards. So in our existential and logotherapy, we try to delve more deeper with narrative therapy. Narrative is also one of the therapeutic module. But with that, the dream and their themes and symbolism in dreams give us more deeper insight into their meaning in life. So the second is Carl Jung. So it is more into spiritual and existential that we use dreams mostly. But apart from that, there are other themes also that we look into. The next slide is regarding Carl Jung. So Carl Jung has rightly quoted when he was asked that a rabbi questioned him why God no longer communicated with people through dreams like in stories of old. Jung thought that members of contemporary society got too tangled up in their own conscious world and had forgotten that there was a historical tradition that God spoke primarily through dreams and visions. Nowadays, there is no longer anybody who can bow low enough. So that is what he meant, that all the scholars, and this could be, you can see, become so true for the Muslim scholarship as well, that we are stuck to such zahiri and very behavioristic understanding of Islam that we have lost our heritage, intellectual heritage of batin, of our internal dynamics. So now we need to bow low or more insight to understand those dynamics for better interpretation, more than interpretation, to make it significant in our day-to-day life. Now, Clara Hills is again another psychotherapist and clinical psychologist that has worked how we can integrate dreams into psychotherapy. So dreams are a great way of establishing rapport with the patient and an excellent way of quickly focusing attention to core psychological issues. So it has happened that sometimes it have in our therapeutic practice that when they narrate the dream, and we find that especially with anxious avoidant personality disorder, we find that they are very reluctant in opening. There's a fear of they are not able to open up, and that they're always in a sense of that whether we will be able to understand or will make correct judgment about them, or even the paranoid personality. So one of the themes is personality disorders, and in personality disorders, the insight is what is very significant. So how we can develop that insight, dreams play a very significant role as an intervention there. So it helps us build rapport. Dream can lead to important core conflicts more quickly than conventional therapeutic techniques. So that unveiling, that inkishaf, or that insight oriented therapy, it takes sometimes a lot of time. But dream becomes our anchor to explore those tensions very quickly and very smoothly. The purpose of my dream interpretation technique is to bring to consciousness a waking issue or unconscious issue. When this goal has been achieved, therapy should start and no further probing of a dream is necessary. So, how true? So, basically, the purpose in psychotherapy of a dream is we don't get into too much details of the dream. Dream, we take just the applied or the significant symbolism that can help us in our therapeutic process to work very efficiently and smoothly. So the next slide is about some of the one of the most significant phenomena in dream interpretation, the prophetic dreams. So there are various. So prophetic dreams are dreams that predict the future, or that gives us some insight about us, how we will be in future. So on this also there are 5 positions. So the first is, it is possible that prophetic dreams are merely coincidental. Out of thousands of our dreams, one comes true. Low probability events are eventually likely to occur. So there is one position, and it is based that it is more biologically driven. You can see biologically, or that position of Watson, you can see here that it is very coincidental, that it can happen that you have seen a dream and it has been actualized. So it is very coincidental. The second position is, prophetic dreams may be explained by Aristotle's notion that waking thoughts continue into sleep and sleeping thoughts may carry over into wakefulness. So you can see that this is the assumption that what we are experiencing in waking life is being seen in dreams. And similarly, it is what we have seen in dreams that can be experienced in waking life. For Aristotle, notion is reducing dreams to be a very reductionist approach of simplifying the dream process itself. That what we have been experiencing in waking life, that has been reflected in your dreams, and what you have been seeing in the dreams. If something comes up in the dreams, and if it is actualized in the waking life, it is no different than seeing a waking life moment in a dream. So for him, it is a loop. A third cause of prophetic dreams might be that our dreams may serve as probability estimators. That is, we dream of many possible outcomes for our future courses of action, and sometimes we follow one of these courses. So it is like basically a possible outcome. That is what, so our brain is functioning, and out of the thousands of possibilities, in dream, that one combination is happening randomly, and that possible outcome can predict the future course of our action. A fourth possibility for prophetic dreams is that they may be divinely inspired. Theists would have a very tough time rejecting the notion that God could speak through dreams, because the typical notion of a God is that they are all powerful and who could purport to know the prophetic nature of dream, the mind or will of God. So basically, it is a theist position that all the religious, even the Islamic position, is that ru'ya gives us insight into what Allah really wants of us as an individual, or there has, the dream is you can say a way of communicating with God. There's a hadith also on that. And the fifth position is, the possibility for prophetic dreams comes from both Young and Aristotle. The Jungian hypothesis is known as synchronicity or meaningful coincidence. According to Jung, dreams may sometimes portend the future because events can be related beyond simple cause and effect. Aristotle also proposed that dreams may indeed contain tokens that may portend future events. So, like we know about archetypes, and yes, I'm in a session. Just give. Huh? Okay. Sorry, just wait. Sister, you can continue. So recurrent dreams. So now the second tangent in our therapeutic practice. Now we were in the last position of Jungian prophetic dreams. There, the Jung has that the archetype, the collective unconscious is a place where we have universal archetypes that are there. So I won't be getting more detail into the Jungian thought itself, but just to give a brief, according to him, those archetypes in a way uh, reflected in a dream which results into prophetic dreams. So recurrent dreams, that is another phenomena in therapeutic practice. We see that dreams coming again and again and again. It appears that what constitutes a recurrent dream is vaguely defined throughout the literature. Freud dismissed recurrent dreams as simple childhood remembrances and said he had never had one himself, but proceeded to give many examples of repeated people and themes from his dreams. Jung thought recurrent dreams were important and gave three common types: a perceived defect in the dreamer, a trauma, or a future anticipation. Fritz Perls also thought recurrent dreams were important, if not the most important kind of dream, because he believed that recurrent dreams were attempts to solve major unfinished issues. Current clinical lore suggests that recurrent dreams will dissipate with time or therapy, or if a solution to the underlying issue is discovered. So these are the position, and we align with the position mostly with, you can see, with Pearls, where we find that it is significant. If recurrent dreams are coming, it is significant, and it gives a lot of insight about our own issues. The hadith of the Prophet is there now, that when Allah loves someone, He opens His weaknesses to him. So that could be one of the major source, could be through dreams. In Sufi literature also, you will find that the dream is given very significant position, for even to see the stages of maqamat, how a person is growing in getting closer to Allah, or doing his tahdib al nafs, or purification of his self, how much he has achieved that. So dream symbolizes that itself, and it comes recurrent. So sometimes the whole image could be recurrent, sometimes some symbols could be recurrent. That's how recurrent dreams are significant in psychotherapy. So now we can move to the next slide, where we will be giving some insight, some cases in practice based insight into dreams. Yeah. So trauma, sexual abuse. This, you have one case there. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah.
it will be more for the cases that we would see. So usually in the MSc in itself, right, the mental status examination, this was also one of the questions that Dr. Khalid had asked us during the lecture, where our MSc that takes, the current problem, is it the precipitating event, the predisposing factors, the genogram would say the demographic factors and details and all of those. You see that we do not really touch upon these standards, but it's important, I think, in an Islamic psychotherapy setup, and that's exactly why we said, how are you going to be, introducing or adding dreams to this? We will see that, I mean, when you're taking the spiritual history, right? So maybe the mother had some good dreams when the child was, when she had conceived the child. And as is the case, we actually see in the lives of, major scholars, their mothers had very good dreams when we see the story of Maryam alayhi salam. So, subhanAllah, that's there as a pattern, where we know that this theme of, when the entire conceptualization of dream is coming about in the form of in their lifestyle or in their life story. So if we see trauma as such, we see how there was this case where she came about and she said that first she started seeing like a lot of sharks around her, like, but they were a little far, right? And then the sharks started getting more and more closer, and constantly there was a theme of the sharks chasing her. In one of the person's dream, she saw that the abuse was happening very far off, right, in the extended circles. And then she saw somebody who's been sexually abused in her acquaintances, then friends and family, started seeing herself. So a lot of trauma cases, you will see that, especially that has happened in the early childhood, plays or comes out through, in the subconscious. From the subconscious actually comes about through dreams, right? So this dream, while she took it to her parents, saying that it's a recurrent dream, that I'm seeing sharks chasing me back and again. Then her parents opened up to her saying that, yes, when you were a child, You were very young, around 3-4 years. You were sexually abused, and then we never spoke to you about it, thinking, But then, how they say, right? The body keeps a score, so the body remembers. The body has a memory that she was abused, so it came up in through her dreams into her reality and helping her understand, okay, this happened. So then we had to again sit with the entire trauma cycle of giving her, helping her with tools, and then helping her process who it was, and and then finally integrating her back into like a lot of somatic work because she was feeling those jitters, right? So that's how you see how even in sex addictions, right? We see how it shows about, it brings about. So maybe Fahad wants to talk about.
Yeah. So trauma, I'll bring another. The case was there. The guy was very anxious, avoidant, and he wasn't opening about his issues that was there. But he just said about one of his dreams that came to him, that lot of people. So he is in the middle, and there are a lot of people around him committing sexual acts, and he is not finding a way out of it. So later on, when we explored on that tangent, the trauma came to the surface, how has been abused and how he was still not able to cope up with that. That was affecting his identity, his orientation. So that is how sometimes dreams becomes a base for us to explore more. Even we have seen, like in the case where the you can say the abuse get more and more in the closer circles. So it was very in the timeline of when we are even having a discussion and therapeutic sessions also, when we are touching some tangents there, you will find that the clients after the week of a session, they will get some of the dreams there, because now we are delving more into their intrapsychic experiences. So that's how we even when they come for the next session, we ask them, do you saw any dreams, or what were the with other experiences, any significant dreams that you can recall of? And we especially give them this task that if you can, because after waking up, after a time, they are not able to recall it. So if that can happen, that once they have just have a slight bit of waking up in the middle of the night also, and the dream is still there, because in the REM it's where the dream are happening. And when the person wakes up, he can recall all the dream with complete vivid and clarity. So we ask them to just record your dreams there, and bring that into the session. So the another tangent is about addictions. So this is another theme that we are seeing. So in sexual addiction, so it happens that the dreams leading to action, that also cases are there. So their relapses happens. They are clean for about 4-5 months. They are clean for a lot of time. And similarly for all the addictions, we are seeing this. And it happens that they get the dream of uh, engaging into that sexual act again, or they are drinking alcohol, or they are substance abusing, and that emotion or that tendency, that urge is so intense that when they wake up, they can't control themselves. So that's how even we have seen in some cases that that dream is leading into relapse as well. And person addiction cases, we are that's one of the themes that we are looking into, codependency and person addiction, where the person is fantasizing throughout the day about the other person and their traits. So we are able to regulate, and we are able to see that how much has the therapy is really working on them, how much is the frequency and the intensity of those experiences has reduced uh, down our therapeutic sessions. So at the same time, we are finding that dreams are working as an assessment indicators as well. It is in a way a prophetic dreams or even a Warner dreams are there. So we have one of our clients. So he has been diagnosed with bipolar and have different tensions there. He is very anxious, and we have seen that multiple themes are coming to him, that he is fearful that the end of times are here, or Dajjal has come, or there are false prophets that are there. And there he is finding himself with Quran or some spiritual anchor. So that's how we try to build on those anchors and try to see it as an intervention. Then we have existential dreams, like people seeing prophets in dream, Prophet Muhammad or Prophet Isa, Prophet Moses, and what the communication is happening that is giving orientation and meaning to their life. So those themes are also there that we are incorporating in our practices. Then spiritual, especially the angle of shaitan, or the factor, if we are seeing very holistically, it happens that we are perceiving a case to be very in alliance with depression or anxiety, but in dreams they are able to see either snakes or some other symbolisms are there. I won't be going into symbolism because symbolisms are very you can say sometimes becomes a lot of problems. So with them specifically, they are seeing those symbolism recurrently. So when we dwell more into those symbolisms, we try to get the tangent of shaitan also, how it is affecting them, or is there a tangent of nazar or sahir also. So in one of the cases of ruqya in the hospital where we were performing, the patient was able to see the place where the sahir has dug and kept those stuffs. So that became a source of our intervention, and we went and just destroyed those amulets and those things. The final tangent theme which we are seeing is wish fulfillment, as Freud, and in the cases of SSA, same-sex attraction and gender identity. So the natural cycle of the nightfall and wet dreams are usually with men. That orientation is there. But during our therapeutic intervention, has there been a shift that we are seeing? So in one of the cases, it was that we are working more on the tangent of with acceptance commitment therapy, and how deeply is therapy really working or not, because they want an answer whether they can go ahead with the marriage as of now or not. So we find that with SSA cases, dreams play a very significant role. Are now, even if they are seeing themselves with another person, is the intensity that much of that attraction is in the dreams? It is that much. Are you having nightfall after that or not? So these are the tangents. And in one of the cases, we find that in the dreams also they will see having intercourse with a woman with opposite gender. So that becomes in a way for us an indicators that the therapy is progressing or not. Yeah. So these were some of the insights that we thought that could work. Now we can move on to the next role of therapist. Sister.
Right. So as we see, and also I think we're almost touching about the time. So the role of the therapist is going to be more in lines of screening and assessment. So you'll be trying to, like I said, you'll be adding a lot of like MSc in detailed cases. What has their spiritual journey been? How much of a relevance and importance are there any recurrent dreams? So all of those will be taken into account. Also the personality disorder that they may have. So you can actually link a certain themes and motives and symbols to perhaps a certain, for example, a person who has social anxiety, constantly they are, fearful that they'll be put to shame in front of public, and they have to talk in front of public, and they have to, so you will see certain patterns that you're able to talk. People who are dependent personality, you will see patterns in their dreams where their loved ones are no more, right? And that's the most devastating thing to them. So screening, assessment, risk, distress, all of this will become part and parcel of how you take the entire detail MSc, and where dreams are a part of it, and then you try to understand how things can be made better, or how you make more sense of the intra-psychic dynamics that's going on. And again, we are not interpreters unless trained, but you'll be able to help and relate to some symbols. So if your IPD is done, right, you understand if you understand the client's personality disorder and you see why they're seeing certain dreams, then you'll be able to make some connections, right? So types of dreams, the different kind of dreams, so noting them down or helping them to have a dream diary, psychological dreams versus ruya, having that kind of an understanding. So what are the themes that as a therapist we should be knowing, right? What are the types of dreams, how to maintain a dream diary? We'll be giving you a format towards the end, which is of Khalil Center. What psychological dreams and what's the difference between ruya? How the dreamer's knowledge of own symbols. So whenever, say the dreamer says that whenever I see certain thing or certain symbol, I, say for example, whenever exams are closed, then there are certain people who have seen dreams where they're more relaxed. They're also able to do good. When they see certain dreams, they're able to feel good. One of the clients, long before her mom had passed away, I think 2 months or 1 month before her mom had passed away, she saw a dream of her mom passing away. And that day, she was really extremely broke, and it took her many days to come out of it, right? But somewhere that the very next month when she passed away, that helped her to sort of absorb her, like, be more composed, because she felt that she's lived through that experience before. So a lot of these, the very personal, right? Personal symbols and personal understanding of how Allah prepared her first and then exposed her to the real situation, right? So understanding the knowledge, understanding the hikmah behind your own dream symbols, to get guidance from dream interpretation books, which is both exclusive and inclusive in nature, or how to deal with a bad dream or a good dream in clients when they come with extreme distress that they saw a close one passing away, then how do you help them, right? Istikhara is also one place that we'll be talking about in dream incubation. So again, as continues, the role of a therapist is need to be understanding the symbols, right? What can be some of the symbols, like, and also to understand that dreams are not literal by nature, like we know they are based on the content, the place, the character, the emotions, the objects, the activities, the people that are there. You'll see certain people having very constant theme. Whenever there's a good dream, you will see certain people in it, right? You'll see somebody who's very stable and mature, and so certain people also bring certain essences into the dreams. You'll see in certain dreams that are bad. So these are all a meta-analysis of the dreams that we've been recollecting of our clients, right? You'll see some of the dreams where people are seeing certain things or certain objects again and again in different capacities. For example, you see clothes. People, like, one of the clients sees herself clothed a lot, or sometimes clothed very little, trying to hide herself, or she's overly clothed, or she's drowning in clothes, right? So clothes as a symbol is something. So she has to keep recording her dreams, and perhaps at some point, it'll start making sense. But it's very recurrent. So it's something that one needs to be understanding and recording their own thematic understanding of their dream journey. There's going to be descriptive elements all within the context of dream number, units, words, phrases, associations, linguistic roots, Quranic verses and a hadith, right? Sometimes you'll just be able to see which surah, a lot of clients have had, like, just sitting and reciting a surah and those ayats. And when you go back and, you go back and check what those ayats mean. So all of these things are something that you can help them to understanding the symbols, right? More so. Then comes examples. So again, this is coming more as a disclaimer to help than to help. So dreams can mean very different based on who is seeing, where they're seeing, and what they're seeing. So just a bird cannot be understood as something. If the bird is sitting on one's shoulder, it's going to be a different interpretation. If the bird is sitting on the head, it's going to be another interpretation. If the bird is coming out of someone's mouth, it's going to be another interpretation. So that's how it works. So that's why if we do not have the capacity and we're not trained in interpretation, then we should not be just symbolically. So as therapists, you'll just be seeing symbols, some of the symbols that could be helping you to help the client better in their therapeutic healing journey, right? Like water is just not water. Is it hot, cold, running? And same dream had two interpretations when Empress Serene did in different seasons, right? So that's how nuanced this is. Shaving the beard or having, it's very nuanced. So basically, this is more like for us to understand that it's a very nuanced skill and knowledge, and something that if one wants to seek, then they should be seeking from the right sources where the Quran and the Sunnah is kept, together. Now, as a therapist, you will also see that dreams play a very major role and big role in helping clients, right, in terms of their grief. So usually, even in Islamic tradition, we see that after people are passed away, you see them in a good place, in a good position. They are appearing to be very normal, and they're doing good, right? So that serves two purposes. One, it also helps to understand if they are okay, right? Sometimes you see them in distress, and that's when you give sadaqah, you try to go back and sort. Maybe they had a debt that nobody knew about. And some of the dreams that are recorded shows that, the wife seeing the husband in distress, and she going back and checking. So there was some hints and clues, and when she went back and checked, somebody owed him some money and he had not returned back. And once she was able to clear those debts off, she saw him better, right? So all of these. So grieving individuals, it really helps in complicated grief reactions, watching them, dream incubation, prayers, supplications, right? So that's also one place. Grief, especially grief or loss of loved one, that's also a place where you'll be using dreams. Now, istikhara and dreams, although we didn't want to touch on this today because it's a topic of its own, but uh, we thought that since in our Islamic tradition, dreams are connected immediately to istikhara and nothing more. The dua actually is more in line. So this is exactly what Dr. Khalid told us, or this is exactly from what Dr. Khalid, helped us to understand through this theme. He said the dua is more so, if it is good for me, then facilitate for me and grant it for me. Instead, we think the dua version is, if it is good for me, show it to me in the dream. And he was very, he was having a very good sense of humor here by saying that, it's definitely to understand that there's no clear connection between istikhara and dreams. In fact, majority of the scholars follow a very natural course of decision making, which is istikhara and istishura. Like you do istikhara, and if there's some symbols and everything that's coming in the dreams, it's okay, you consider that. But also, if it is good for you, then Allah will start bringing it closer to you, and things will happen naturally. And if it's bad for you, then and also the istishura part, right, where you are not just going by the dream, but you're also consulting people that you trust, people of knowledge, people who they are loyal, and people who want care for you, right? So certain categories of people that you can trust, who have a lot of hikmah and wisdom, who are non-biased, non-judgmental. So I think we all need to have that kind of a shura in our lives that, okay, I can trust this person for like taking some guidance, right? So those kind of figures, like sometimes it's usually our teacher figures, our mentor figures, right? Our Quran teachers, our Tajweed teachers, our all of this, like living Quran, whoever teaches us, like so more so somebody we look up to. So it's always good to also have like a consult. We having our own consult where we go to our family or friends who really want the care for us, and we take some scholars, and we can definitely take their advices. Cross-cultural training programs. So basically, if we're talking lines of ethics for professionals, dream workers to work on their own dreams. It's very important that we are also recording our dreams and what they are meaning to us. Supervision, again, taking the dreams back to maybe supervisors or dream interpreters or somebody who has a good holistic understanding of dreams. Cross-cultural training programs, because you will see certain traditions, like even Christianity, they give a lot of importance to dreams. The Jewish tradition gives a lot of importance to dreams. As you saw in the history, there are a lot of early Jewish scholars, Christian scholars. Of course, Islam also talks a lot about dreams. The Quran has recorded 7 dreams. So we know that we can also have a dialogue in terms of cross-cultural training, in terms of understanding themes and symbols, and basically at least to take back and work in terms of the importance, right? Like universally, we all agree that dreams are important, and having a dialogue more on that. Knowledge and licensing in the relevant medical, psychological, psychiatric field. So having very good understanding of the intradynamics that you're trying to work with the person. You have IFS, internal family systems, or schema-based. So you're working very closely with the person's intradynamics, and then having some understanding of dreams, and a little bit of, at least being a beginner at the dreams, the study of dreams, right? In Mutabid, I mean, that would really help in helping people, or like say therapeutically, right, to be a good therapist. So the next steps, as is the last part of our presentation today, is again something that Dr. Khalid inspired us to look into: International Association for the Study of Dreams. So basically he said that, and he was very saddened also to say that there are very few Muslims here. Although dream has been a major part and source of our tradition, right? We see that you will see a lot of people from not our faith being heading this entire movement of considering dreams as a source of understanding and something that can help in epistemic understanding of things, right? So their annual meetings, their journal and newsletters, and it's open access. So you can go through the website also, and there's a lot of tools for dream research that are available freely. Next up, we also would encourage, now that you start giving importance to dreams, you will start maybe perhaps your journey of seeing good dreams and symbolic dreams and dreams that would Because a lot of people say that I don't remember the dream. I know that I have dreamt, but as soon as I wake, I forget. So having, even if any dream that comes about you, starting the tradition to record it, because our memories are fragile, and recording helps as soon as possible. So we had recommended some of the clients to not type perhaps and just leave themselves a audio note and then go back and listen to it in the morning when they wake up, right? The content, seeing the characters, emotions, settings, social interactions, activities, object, success, failure, like what all the different tangents that are happening, right? Descriptive elements, the color, the size, the age. One of the dreams had a big frog um, jumping outside the window. Another dream, one of the clients saw peacock jumping right in the middle of nowhere, right? So what does a peacock symbolize? Or what is uncovering? So she's a person who's clad and she's usually she covers, and suddenly seeing what would uncovering herself, right? Look at. So different, like what is the size, what is the color, the age, a lot of things that small little things could also have a lot of nuances. What would you think would be the title, right? So if the title is, say, something uncovering, or the title is, say, flooding of clothes, so they're going to be different, like how it's a narrative, but again, knowing how it can actually be very, something major theme, and then you have like different nuances in that, and building your own dream symbol vocabulary, understanding what are some of the recurrent dreams that you have, or some of the recurrent, like a lot of people has said, and Dr. Khalid also mentioned this, saying that a lot of people have levitating dreams, flying dreams, right? Flying above the mountain, flying above the ocean. So having and building an understanding of the symbols that comes to you. And this is the Khalil Center's dream diary, where you see they ask you to record the date, the title as to what you would give, what happened in the dream, and descriptive elements, right? And then you would have like prevalent themes. What are some of the themes that you're seeing? Notable proceedings. Have you ever had this dream before? Yes or no? Is it recurrent? What are your reflections about the dream? What was the prevailing emotion that while you were dreaming? Did you have this dream after istikhara or before istikhara? That could also be, and all the tips would be explained in detail, recorded, and note the event, right? And is this dream related to any of your life circumstances and future events possibly linked to this dream? For example, if you're seeing entering through an opening through a large cave or something like that, then you'll see, and if you're in the thinking of leaving your job or starting something new, then you can actually connect it to maybe your life events, right? Understanding that it could, I mean, definitely take it to the dream interpreter, because what you see as, oh, this is Fatah and this is an opening, could mean something very different based on the context of the dream. But trying to understand if there is a link, if there is a link to what's happening in your life to what the dream is, right? So I think with that, Alhamdulillah, we have come to the end of the presentation. I'm not sure if we have time for Q&A, but maybe one or two if there is any, or we're also part of all these groups, and inshallah, if you're new here, you can join the groups and maybe we can have a discussion. Any questions? Okay, Dr. Sadia has raised her hands. So maybe I think okay, there are two hands up. So I think the admins will have to unmute them perhaps. Okay, how can a dreamer classify the okay, I think right. So the question is, how can a dreamer classify the psychological or spiritual dream? So maybe Brother Fahad wants to answer.
So basically the symbol or the literal meaning of the dream, if you see when the person is narrating that dream to us, their state, the emotional state while they are having the dream is very significant to us. So sometimes the symbolism could be seen in a very inanimate object will be there, but their essence with that, if with the dream will be that it has a significance, it has a meaning, that essence they will be carrying after waking with up, but they will be confused what it really signifies. So on that tangent, when they bring that dream to us and when we have the case histories, when we are going through their value direction and their meanings in life, then that symbolism makes sense for them. That's what we have been narrating, that the symbolism and the dreams what they are seeing, that has to do a lot with their trajectory of understanding themselves, what we have been experiencing in psychotherapy. Yeah. Yes, I have unmuted you, Abdul Shakoor.
Assalamu alaikum.
I
I would like to know about lucid dreaming, and is it of any interest for us to explore? And second thing is, if you have any contacts of trusted dream interpreters, please connect with us.
So the first part about lucid dreaming, it is that it has been talked by Frederick. Frederick is one of the scholars that has talked that they write a script first. It is sometimes very interventional, that we ask them to write a script and that is then projected into their dreams. Sometimes it happens that during dreaming they get aware of that they are dreaming. In that state they try to make it's a conception of Jung has talked on this phenomena, where the person is able to explore in the dream, being consciously exploring the dream. So that is there. Yeah. And we definitely try to see in Indian or abroad also, if there is, we will be letting you know. Yeah, dream interpreters in the group we can check. Usually, mostly it is in the Turkish. We are finding that they are good interpreters. So yeah, we are looking for something which is troubling me for some time. Okay.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear audience, if anyone is having more questions, I would suggest that join our India events group and you can post your questions there, and then the speakers, they will answer it there. We are running out of time, so we have to close it now. So inshallah, see you in the group. So you can join the group and then you can start discussions there. So, and the speakers are there as well. So they will answer your question in the group, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan kasira for the wonderful presentation, dear speakers, Brother Shujauddin and Sister Zulekha. And I would advise the audience to join the group. Please, our admin, can you please kindly post the group link so that people can join in and ask the questions there? Inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khairan, Brother Shujauddin and Sister Zulekha Rajani, for your amazing presentation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. For more information on how to connect with us, join our Islamic Psychology WhatsApp group, and the link will be sent in the chat box, inshallah. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our Instagram page. The Islamic Psychology group will be sent in the chat box, and this is the link to join the group. You can scan here to join the group, inshallah. For the next meetings, you can inshallah register here. And please leave your feedbacks, dear brothers and sisters.
Dear sisters, can you please kindly put the discussion group one, event group, India event group. This is our main resource sharing group. I want you to put the
Yes.
link of India event group where the discussion takes place.
Inshallah. Okay, sister. That will also be shared shortly. Inshallah.
Okay.
Okay, with that, we will end with the dua. Subhanallah wa bihamdika la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan, dear brothers and sisters, for taking part in this meeting. And Jazakallah khairan to all of my amazing team members who have worked very hard throughout this meeting session. Jazakallah khairan, dear sisters. Okay, inshallah, we can close with this.
Jazakumullahu khairan
Assalamu
kaseera,
alaikum wa
dear sister
rahmatullahi wa
Nishad.
barakatuh.
Jazakumullahu khairan kaseera, sister Nishad.
Barakallah
So you
feekum.
too.
Barakallah feekum, Sister Mahmooda. Very